And right now, play that funky music, white
boy. It's Backstage Pass. Stay tuned for a solid hour with Mike Cross. We'll be right back.
Idea that a performance be the same kind of situation, the same kind of feeling as a living room situation. When I step on stage, I feel like I've got an obligation to do more than just parrot what people heard on the record or strike the pose that the poster happened to catch me in, 6 months ago. I like whether the setting is, 10,000 people outdoors or 10 people indoors. I like to convey the idea that we're all just sitting down and having a casual evening together. Now, obviously, the way you present things has to change with the setting. If you're in a huge auditorium where there are people who actually can't even see your face very well, you have to do things a lot differently than if you're in a small club where the surroundings are a lot more intimate. But basically, I like to tell stories. I like for people to know where the songs came from. And once again, because of the fact that I didn't play music growing up, I can remember I appreciated a performance a lot more if I got the idea that the performer was explaining to me in an interesting fashion why he chose to do a specific thing. It was interesting. It was like getting to see a view of life that I hadn't experienced and sort of like getting to live the experience through that person's experience. The vicarious interplay of human emotion.
It's instrumental time here. I was up in Virginia this summer, and when I got through playing, an old guy came up to me and he said, "Son, I really appreciate what you did out there, but you never played them Catskill Mountain Blues." I said, "Mister, I've never even heard of the Catskill Mountain Blues." And he said, "Well, why don't you make it up then?" And I said, "All right, I believe I will." So this is it. This is on a new piece of vinyl that'll be sailing out your way about summertime. It's going to be called Carborough Crossing on that, because the Catskill Mountain Blues is, I don't know why. But anyway, it's an instrumental in 3, 4, or 5 parts, depending on how well my fingers work out here. Sunrise in the Catskills. The sun comes up over the hill. Rises in the sky. Flashes in your eyes. Hit it, white trash.
So many of the things that I write are really just a composite of situations I've found myself in or things that I've observed. Nobby's a classic example. When I was living in Atlanta, I would be driving down to the law library at night, and I would pass a specific corner where there were a lot of ladies of the night gathered out there dressed in their finest. And during that same period of time, I saw a special on prostitution and the people who exploit ladies for that purpose, special on pimps, as it were. And the composite of those scenes made me write a character sketch of a street pimp. I called him Nobby, and I set this music to the words.
Midnight cruising in his Continental, diamond ring, silk suit and spats, checking out the chicks on every corner. There are the feathers in his hair. Stopping by the curb at every streetlight, taking his cut of the ladies' pay. He keeps talking, they keep walking. As he leaves, you'll hear him say, "Come on, girls, let's work for Nobby. Let's make hay while the streetlights shine. Come on, girls, let's work for Nobby. Nobby gonna be our Valentine." Nobby keeps track of his women to make sure they're treated fair. He keeps tabs on all their business to make sure he gets his share. And if some girl gives Nobby trouble, he pulls out a big switchblade. Straighten up, girl, on the double, or you'll get a real close shave. Come on, girls, let's work for Nobby. Let's make hay while the streetlights shine. Come on, girls, let's work for Nobby. Nobby gonna be our Valentine. Midnight cruising in his Continental, diamond ring, silk suit and spats, checking out the chicks on every corner. There are the feathers in his hair. Stopping by the curb at every streetlight, taking his cut of the ladies' pay. He keeps talking, they keep walking. As he leaves, you'll hear him say, "Come on, girls, let's work for Nobby. Let's make hay while the streetlights shine. Come on, girls, let's work for Nobby. Nobby gonna be our Valentine. Come on, girls, let's work for Nobby. Let's make hay while the streetlights shine. Come on, girls, let's work for Nobby. Nobby gonna be our Valentine. Nobby gonna be our Valentine. Nobby gonna be our Valentine."
Backstage Pass with Mike Cross will continue in a moment.
I think humor for me is not always, well, somebody like Jonathan Swift or Mark Twain a lot of times used humor to emphasize a point or to make a sociological statement. I really don't do that very much. I just like to laugh, and I'm willing to laugh at anything, whether it's Mike Cross or the blackbird who sits on the tree limb out there, because laughter is such a positive thing. But if I had one thing in the world I could do, it would just be change, negative feelings into positive feelings. I want people to feel good about themselves and their situation. And that's why I like to do things that are humorous. A lot of the stories I tell on stage are either spontaneous or they were spontaneous once upon a time, and I recall them and relate them time and again because at that spontaneous moment, I realized that they were humorous, or they were entertaining, or they made people feel good. So I'd say that the highlights in performing for me are just all those times when I know that people understand exactly what I was trying to do, which is just make them feel better, like I'm a soul doctor or something.
As I started through the gate, one of those ladies there, dressed in her tartan finest, stopped me. She says, "Hold it there, sonny. Would you like to buy a ticket?" I said, "No, ma'am, thank you. I've got a ticket here some friends gave me. I guess I'm just supposed to give it to you." "Yes, I'll take your ticket. Now, wait a minute. Before you go on in, you wouldn't let me sell your ticket? How about letting me give you a little piece of information? It'll only cost you a quarter." Well, a quarter didn't seem like too much to spend for some really interesting information, so I gave her a quarter, and she said, "Scotsmen don't wear any underwear under their kilts." Scotsmen don't wear any underwear under their kilts? "That's right. Would you like to buy some mirrors for your shoes?" No. "Appreciate it. I just polished them, ma'am." I walked on in the grounds there. I got more and more curious about this underwear thing. Finally, I just had to find out for myself whether or not it was really true. So I walked up to this likely-looking candidate for Scotsman of the Year, 6 feet 7 inches tall, flaming red hair, hanging down on big brawny shoulders, dressed in traditional Scottish garbage. I walked up to him and I said, "Look, friend, this may sound strange, but my name's Mike Cross. I'm an undercover agent for the Fruit of the Loom Company. I was just wondering, is it true that you guys don't wear any underwear under those kilts?" Oh, he was Scotch through and through. He was about 90 proof when I started talking to him. See? Wobbled for a second, then he threw his kilt up and showed me. This song arose out of that experience. It's called The Scotsman, and I'll dedicate it to all you Celtics. A Scotsman clad in kilts left a bar one evening fair. One could tell by how he walked he drunk more than his share. He stumbled on until he could no longer keep his feet. He staggered off into the grass to sleep beside the street. Ring-ding-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-o, ring-ding-dee-dee-dee-dee. Stumbled off into the grass to sleep beside the street. Later on, 2 young and lovely girls just happened by. One says to the other, with a twinkle in her eye, "See yon sleeping Scotsman, so strong and handsome built. I wonder if it's true what they don't wear beneath the kilt. Ring-ding-dee-dee-dee-dee-o, ring-ding-dee-dee-dee-o. I wonder if it's true what they don't wear beneath the kilt." They creeped up to the sleeping Scotsman, quiet as could be, lifted up his kilt above the waist so they could see. There, behold, for them to view beneath his Scottish skirt was nothing but what God had graced him with upon his birth. Ring-ding-dee-dee-dee-dee-o, ring-ding-dee-dee, no dearth. Nothing but what God had graced him with upon his birth. They marveled for a moment, then one said, "We'd best be gone, but let's leave a present for our friend before we move along." So as a gift they left a blue silk ribbon tied into a bow around the bonny star of the Scots kilt, a lift and show. Ring-ding-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, ring-ding-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Around the bonny star of the Scots kilt, a lift and show. Old Spice commercial. Well, even drunken Scotsmen can't lay out in the gutter all night. So the next morning, the Scotsman woke to nature's call and stumbled toward the trees. Behind a bush, he lifts his kilt and he gawks at what he sees. Then in a startled voice, he says to what's before his eyes, "My friend, I don't know where you been, but I see you won first prize. Ring-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding, ring-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding. I do not care where you been, but I see you won first prize."
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I know there are certain songs I'm going to do because, number one, people have probably heard them on, the records or on the radio, and I know that they're songs that people have come to hear specifically. There are songs I'm going to do because I know they'll be entertaining for people because of the fact that they've been entertaining for lots of audiences in the past. But essentially, as to whether I play a lot of songs that are real bright and up or whether the songs are mellow, just depends on the mood that I feel in the room. I know a lot of performers go out with a set, and they do that set whether it's raining and thundering outside or whether it's a bright sunshiny day, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are some people who perform in such a way that they can actually take the audience from where they are, no matter where it is, and bring them right in to the scene they're into at the time. With me, I try to check everybody at the party out and see, you know, you don't like champagne? How would you like some tea? You know, that kind of situation. So, as to how I choose what song to do next in a concert, it's pretty much just an instinctive response to the emotions I feel in the room at the time. Playing of musical instruments is the most difficult thing I've ever tried to do. Many of the things I got involved in growing up and things that I've tried to do since I've grown up have not been really difficult for me to do. I don't mean that I'm, you know, got a natural genius for them. I just mean I haven't had to devote the time and energy to them that one would think you'd have to devote. Musical instruments have been something I've really had to work hard to learn how to play. When I took up the guitar, it was over a year before I could even figure out how to get it in tune. I mean, I couldn't even begin to figure out what the difference in two sounds were. So that's one of the reasons I think I got so involved in it, is because I was intrigued to discover that it was something that was so difficult for me to do. And I thought, gosh, anything that is this hard for me to do, I really need to know more about, because obviously I'm totally ignorant. If there is a specific area of growth as a creative person that I'm going through right now, it's learning to make the music take a more primary role in the songs. At this point, the songs have been words that had music supporting them. And more I'd like to reach the point where the words and the music mingle so closely that you need to hear both to appreciate either one. The first music I really got into was the blues of the Mississippi Delta, the old... You know, my mama ran off and left me kind of stuff where it was, I'm so lonesome I could jump in front of a moving freight train, but my luck's running so bad the train would probably stop or run off the rail before it hit me kind of stuff. And the great thing about the blues is that you can, you know, pick a key, any key, and just sit out here and just play it. I mean, I can play it for 30 seconds, or I can play it for 3 hours. I can do it as long as I feel like, and it's kind of like a meditation chamber.
Now this is the first funky tune of the evening, and you can tell I'm getting into it when you see my eyes roll back in my head. Here we go. Good God! I had a friend up in Chicago. He was a millionaire. One night I saw him eating supper in an old greasy spoon. I said, friend, what are you doing in here? Man, you could eat steak anytime you please, and yet here you sit with just a plate of cold beans. He said, Mike, what you say is true, but there's something I should explain to you. And he said, after you've been having steak for a long time, beans taste fine. And when you've been drinking nothing but champagne and brandy, get so you like the taste of wine. Life is funny and people are strange. Man is a creature of constant change. And after you've been having steak for a long time, beans taste fine. Now hot licks, here we go. Asbestos guitar neck. Had another friend up in New York City. I met him in a rowdy old Clark Street bar. I said, my friend, now is it true what I heard about you? I heard you married a beautiful 18-year-old voluptuous movie star, and yet here you sit trying to make out with some old barfly that's just too old and ugly to be true. He said, Mike, you're a very young boy. Sit down, I'll explain it to you. And he said, after you've been having steak for a long time, beans taste fine. When you've been drinking nothing but champagne and brandy, you get so you like that old rot gut wine. Yes, life is kind of funny, and people are strange. Man is a creature of constant change. And after you've been having steak for a long time, beans, well, they taste just fine.
This is Backstage Pass with Mike Cross. There's more to come.
Well, I accidentally stumbled into making a living at it one weekend downtown at a place called the Endangered Species Tavern. I used to go down there sometimes on Friday and Saturday nights and throw darts and hang out with my buddies. And they had music there every night of the week. And one of the nights I was there, the fella who was supposed to perform didn't show up. And some of my friends said, hey, haven't you been learning to play the guitar? And I said, oh, well, I've been messing around on it. And the bartender said, hey, I've got a guitar back here. Play a song, son. And so I played a few tunes, sat around at the table, you know, just really talking and playing songs. And the guy asked me at the end of the night, the guy who owned the place asked me if I wanted to come in and do it again the next Friday night. And I said, sure. And over the period of a few weeks, I went from sitting at a table playing and talking to people to being up on a little platform with a naked light bulb over my head, and suddenly I was in show business.
Big old buzzard sitting on a fence, watching them chickens play. Sit with his best friend, old Chicken Hawk. The Chicken Hawk jump up and say, we ought to invite us a chicken home for supper today. And the buzzard looks at him with a baleful eye. Take a few seconds before he give a reply. He turned his neck nearly all the way around. Then he points to the sky and he says with a frown, the Lord will provide. Yes, the Lord will provide. Just be patient, brother, and the Lord will provide. The Chicken Hawk says, but I'm hungry. My stomach starts to rumble like a train. Spies a fat chicken in the barnyard. The Chicken Hawk jump up and scream. I hear the Lord helps him, it helps himself, my friend. Know the Lord will provide. You know the Lord will provide. buzzard said, the Lord will provide. The chicken hawk starts to chase a chicken. Chicken starts squawking and run. The farmer come out of the farmhouse. Farmer got a big shotgun. The farmer, he blows that chicken hawk to kingdom come. And the buzzard looks at him with a baleful eye. Take a few seconds before he give a reply. He turn his neck nearly all the way around, and he looks at the chicken hawk laying on the ground. I knew the Lord would provide. I knew the Lord would provide. Yes, I did. And as our old brother buzzard said, the Lord will provide. Yes, the Lord will provide, children. You know the Lord will provide. And as our old brother buzzard said, the Lord will provide. Yes, the Lord will provide.
Well, I was raised in a rural environment, and it's very natural for me to want to be in a place where the crickets are the loudest noise that are made in the course of an evening. It's good for my head to be able to retreat to a place where there aren't many things other than the wind and the sun and all that poetic stuff. When I've been traveling so much, I get in areas where, in spite of the fact that I encounter a lot of people and enjoy being around a lot of people, and that's part of what I do day in, day out, it's really great for me to occasionally be able to get away where there's nobody but myself, really, to hide out. Got to rejuvenate the old spirit and get myself back in touch with Mike Cross, the human.
It's blue skies and teardrops got me down, and the wheat straw in the wind is blowing round and around. Miles full of emptiness is all I found, and if the road says you got to move along. Now the Appalachian mist is blowing around my head as the morning clouds blend into the song. Anybody passing by say how I feel. I'm just a rambling boy, I'm here and then I'm gone. And it's blue skies and teardrops got me down, and the wheat straw in the wind is blowing round and around. Miles full of emptiness is all I found, but the road says you got to move along. Now the wandering song within me feel how bright it burns, and Atlantic shore, Pacific, tell me what you learn. Boundaries only show me where I have to turn to continue the footsteps of my song. And it's blue skies and teardrops got me down, and the wheat straw in the wind is blowing round and around. Miles full of emptiness is all I found, but the road says you got to move along. Years and miles are blending now like pages torn out of books my mind is written to the shoes I've worn. I've rambled on this road 1,000 times before, and I wonder if I'll ever find the dawn. And it's blue skies and teardrops got me down, and the wheat straw in the wind is blowing round and around. Miles full of emptiness is all I found, and if the road says you got to move along. It's blue skies and teardrops got me down, and the wheat straw in the wind is blowing round and around. Miles full of emptiness is all I found, and if the road says you got to move along. The road says you got to move along. Yeah, the road says you got to move along.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I had been writing poetry from the time I was probably in the 6th or 7th grade, not as a poet, but just because I like to rhyme words. I like to play with words, and as I say, it's just a reflection of my environment growing up. My father was always doing clever turns with words, using puns and stuff like that at the supper table, and I grew up with a sensation that this was a little game that a person naturally played in his environment. You hear a word and you figure out a way to make it sound weird or a way to make it mean something else for humorous effect. And it was natural that when I took up a musical instrument, that instead of writing music and setting words to it, that I would write a poem and then use music to create the tone for the poem.
Do you remember days, not so many years ago, when the world was run by people twice your size? And the days were full of laughter, and the nights were full of stars, and when you got tired, you could close your eyes. Yes, the stars were there for wishing, and the wind was there for kites, and the morning sun was there for rise and shine. And even if the sniffles kept you home from school and bed, you couldn't hardly stay there after 9. And I wonder, has the smell of morning faded? And what happened to the robin's song that sparkled in the sky? Where did all the water go that tumbled down the stream? And will I ever catch another butterfly? Do you remember campouts right in your own backyard, wondering how airplanes could fly? And the hours spent just playing with a funny rock you found, with its crystal specks as blue as all the sky. Yes, the days were each a treasure as they blended into years, and the memories come back so sharp and plain. And while we were enjoying those moments, did we mourn that today would never come this way again? I wonder, has the smell of morning faded? What happened to the robin's song that sparkled in the sky? Where did all the water go that tumbled down the stream? And will I ever catch another butterfly? And now I watch my son playing with his toys. He's happy, and I give him all I can. But I still can't help but feel a little tingle down inside when I hear him say he wants to be a man. I wonder, has the smell of morning faded? And what happened to the robin's song that sparkled in the sky? Where did all the water go that tumbled down the stream? Will I ever catch another butterfly? Yes, where did all the water go that tumbled down the stream? And will I ever catch another butterfly?
The difficult thing about what I'm doing is that my wife and my son have to lead separate lives than they would if I were coming in every day at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. There's a strange compromise that goes on in any person's life as to the profession they feel like they need to follow or have to follow, and what their preference would be. If I had my way at this point in time, I would probably be home every night, but that's just not possible.
You ask me if I love you, I don't know what should be said, so I lay my body down upon the altar of your bed. And if you'll look into my eyes, you'll see you own my soul. Believe my eyes and actions, love, they leave no thoughts untold. 'Cause I need something to believe. My life was just a broken chain, but you're the mending link, and I need you more than wisdom or a dream. Close your eyes, hold me close, imagine if you can, the heart that you feel beating lies melting in your hand. And now look within that heart you hold, and there you'll find my soul. And both of them are yours to keep and under your control. 'Cause I need you more than the air I breathe, and I need you more than something to believe. My life was just a broken chain, but you're the mending link, and I need you more than wisdom or a dream. Your eyes tell me all I want to know when they peer into mine. The flavor of your kisses is as sweet as summer wine. And no words in any language that is spoken on this earth can half describe what having you beside me here is worth. But if it's words you want to hear, I'll do the best I can. You're all I was or want to be, you're simply all I am. And I need you more than the air I breathe, and I need you more than something to believe. My life was just a broken chain, but you're the mending link, and I need you more than wisdom or a dream.
We'll be back after these messages.
My family is a separate thing from my performing and my creating. I've written songs about my little boy and things like that, but they're very personal things. Like I've written songs to Laurie, but I never sing them or perform them because they're just personal expressions. And my little boy is 2 years old, and it's hard to tell whether he's going to have an interest in music or not. He dances to fiddle tunes and likes to have music on, but there's no telling whether he'll really take a profound interest in it or not.
But you don't do a bit, it's hard time in the country, out on Tanner's farm.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
For the last 2.5 or 3 years, I've had a real infatuation with the music of Ireland. The Irish musical heritage is a rich and deep heritage. There's nothing I enjoy more than sitting around the house and playing Irish traditional tunes. One of the most beautiful Irish tunes I've ever heard was an old tune called Farewell to Ireland, or Leaving Erin, or something like that. Obviously written by an immigrant who was about to sail away from his homeland. The tune starts like this.